Okay, as you guys all know, the coronavirus is going around. It's considered to be a pandemic at this point, and it's taking place apparently at a global level, and it's very bad. No one knows when this is going to die down. Hopefully, it'll be before the end of the year. But as far as this pandemic is concerned, I basically want to talk about whether or not this will have an effect or an adverse effect on gaming in general. Like for example, a little bit later in 2020, around the holiday season, I believe fourth quarter of this year, the Xbox Series X along with the PlayStation 5 is supposed to be released on a date that has yet to be revealed, but it's most likely going to be November because seeing how like Sony and Microsoft release their game consoles normally around November of certain years. Because I remember back in 2013, Xbox One came out. Um, yeah, November of 2013, Xbox One was released, and then I believe the PlayStation 4 was released around that time as well. So, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 might come out in November 2020, but a lot of people are wondering whether or not the virus will have an adverse effect on console sales because as it currently stands, there's limits to how many people can be in a public area, and you got to wonder how it's going to affect businesses like Best Buy and Walmart and all that stuff. Especially since a lot of people don't want to take the risk of getting sick, and on top of that, console sales or just consoles in general have basically been declining as far as popularity is concerned. Now, a lot of people know that basically, cloud gaming along with mobile gaming starting to become more popular, and a lot of people are starting to think whether or not the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X is going to have the same amount of success as the PlayStation 4 or the the Xbox One. And as far as sales is concerned, PlayStation 4 did pretty well. I believe it reached over 100 million units in sales worldwide. I'm not too sure about the Xbox One, but it didn't sell as much as the PlayStation 4. And as far as this, as far as console sales are concerned, it's highly unlikely that the PlayStation 5 will reach the same level of sales that the PlayStation 4 did, especially considering the fact that the PlayStation 5 is supposed to be at least $100 more than the PlayStation 4 was when it first came out. And you would think that Sony would have learned from when they released the PlayStation 3 back in 2006. Now the PlayStation 2, which came out in the year 2000, that was very successful, and I believe it's the best-selling game console to date ever. And I don't know why, for whatever reason, they decided to make the PlayStation 3 more expensive, but it's something that kind of bit Sony in the backside. But at the same time, sales for the PlayStation 3 was pretty great as well. I believe it sold over or at least 88 million units worldwide since 2006, and I believe it went defunct, or basically they stopped selling PlayStation 3 consoles in retail in the early teens. I believe it was either 2011 or 2012. But yeah, but the PlayStation 5 is expected to be priced around $500, and with a price tag like that, and with this virus being a thing, it's very hard to see the PlayStation 5 doing well in sales or just having an unbelievable amount of success within its first week of sales if it is released in 2020. It's possible that Sony could, push the release date back if the pandemic seems to get worse in countries like America, but that's highly unlikely unless Sony says otherwise. I know the E3 2020 event was canceled because of the pandemic, so we'll just have to wait and see what happened. But as far as whether or not it will adversely affect sales, I feel like the coronavirus will have or it will be a factor in affecting the sales of both consoles. But if anything, the landscape of gaming has changed dramatically. More people are PC gamers, mobile gamers, or just cloud gamers in general. So I think those have an effect on, or a possible effect on, the upcoming game systems, along with the fact that game systems or hardware game consoles in general are just not as popular as they was in the 90s or the 2000s or even the teens decade.